Well, surprise, surprise, there's fallout from Andre Onana's dramatic excursions. Of course, of course, before the Lyon game, he was giving it the big one, saying, we are much better than them. Nemanja Matic comes back saying, well, I, don't want to hear that from you, mate. I'll hear that from, your Peter Schmeichels and all them, man. The super good, historic, world-class goalkeepers of old of Manchester United. But we won't be hearing that from you, Andre. Statistically, one of Manchester United's worst goalkeepers in recent history. Guy was dropping facts. Onana even comes back on his social media going, yeah, we know it'll be tough, but at least I've won trophies with the biggest club in the world. Obviously, Matic has won 3 Premier League trophies, but he's saying the biggest club in the world, Man United. He's obviously won a couple of domestic cups with United. So the beef was there, we all seen it, and then he was even tempting fate when he came out in the Lyon, stadium when he was checking the nets in front of the angry fans. Apparently he's got history with Lyon. He was actually supposed to go there before either Man United or Inter, and it looked like it was going to happen, but he ended up not going there. So there's a little bit of history, and he's annoyed with the Lyon fans, he's annoyed with the Man United fans, he's underperformed, and apparently there's a little bit of beef now in the Manchester United dressing room. So we're going to react to that. Yo, what's happening, friends? Welcome back to Football Yannick. How you doing? Just realised my green screen. Hold on. There we go, fixed. What's going on, guys? I'm uploading quick fire on this channel lately. It's like a couple of uploads every single day. We're really getting a momentum train going. So thanks to all of you newcomers. You're welcome to subscribe if you want to. Just reacting to all the big stories in football. And for my money, this is one. Andre Onana has been dropped for the Newcastle game. We'll read a little bit about that, which is this afternoon at time of recording. But yeah, I'm going to react to, and I apologise in advance for citing this publication, The Sun. But there are still stories going around. This is coming from Richard Moriarty. Forget about Dre. Man United stars want blunder keeper to be dropped after he tempted fates with comments before the Lyon horror show. And it was a horror show. They should have won that 2-0. They drew it 2-2 because of the guy in goal. Also, it's worth mentioning that Andre Onana was good for Inter, but they've gone and signed Jan Sommer, who's a lot older, for like nothing. And they've won the Scudetto last season, and they're probably going to win it again. So they've done all right without him. They've been winning league titles since he left. And remember, Inter played a blinder because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I have a feeling they signed him for free from Ajax, or like nominal compensation, and then sold him for a lot of money to Man United. It's good business. Look, I don't want to. Let's remember a quick disclaimer. These are people. Do you know what I mean? Like we can. Obviously, when you're in the limelight, you're in the theatre of football. You're sort of liable to these stories, and I'm reacting to them. But it is just football. And when people get like abuse thrown at them, obviously it's abhorrent, it's horrible, and it shouldn't be done. But we can certainly react to the theatre of it. Do you know what I mean? Because it is ultimately like a TV show, football these days. The silly Cameroon number 1 could be axed. He has been axed from the Newcastle game. We'll get onto that because Ornstein confirmed on The Athletic. Teammates blame Onana for tempting fate, quote, by taunting the French side ahead of the quarterfinal first leg, A United insider revealed to the journalist, some players are really first off with him. You tempt fate when you say things like that, and then you end up looking silly if it comes back to bite you. Some wonder if it's time for Altay Binder to play. Altay Binder to be given a go. Yeah, he will be. Of course, United boss Ruben Amorim initially backed Onana, but admitted he said this: "There is nothing I can say to Andre that will help." Stop being a knob, mate. Onana fired up Lyon, of course, by saying he's way better. Nemanja Matic said he's one of the worst goalkeepers in history. And then, of course, they drew. The Man United keeper has now made 9 errors leading to goals since joining United. He's moving like Rob Sanchez for Chelsea in a 43.8, so 44 million pounds. What's that? 50 million euros? And like I said, that was pretty much all profit for Inter. Great business. And amidst, David De Gea, he's gone off to Fiorentina doing bits, having a lovely time. And a lot of Man United fans, if you asked him, what would you have right now in goal, Onana or De Gea, who you didn't extend, a lot of them would say De Gea. United legend Paul Scholes insisted Onana is probably wishing he'd kept his mouth shut, and you have all these awful mistakes. You would have to agree. So just a further of this, David Ornstein has published this morning, Manchester United, David Ornstein of The Athletic, Manchester United goalkeeper Onana will not feature in Sunday's Premier League game against Newcastle. Onana has played every minute of United's 69 Premier League matches. Wow, since joining in from Inter. So he's never not played a Premier League match, which is actually pretty crazy, because every now and again they'll be a bit fatigued. There will come the games where you play twice a week in the Prem, like, not different competitions. There'll be like Premier League, and if, for example, like, you play, I don't know, a big team and then a relegation team. Often, if it's a 2-game week, the cup keeper will come in for the smaller team. It happens. You do see it a lot. I know goalkeepers don't need to be rested generally. They don't run about. But you do see that. So, he's played every single Premier League game for United. This is significant. The 29-year-old, of course, was at fault for both goals in the draw away at Lyon. Onana allowed the 25th minute free kick to go straight in, and while Turkey's equaliser deep into stoppage time, he basically just gave it to him after that. He just knocked it at him. And of course, it goes on to the Nemanja Matic beef, which he said. And of course, this will be music to a lot of Manchester United fans' ears, Onana being dropped, because it's bad. It's not just because he's like in a crisis of confidence, which we've seen, again, reference my club, Chelsea. Rob Sanchez, he went through mental phase of that. Kepa. So Kepa's first season at Chelsea, he was pretty good. He won the Europa League. It was really good, actually, in that competition in Europe, and finished top 3 in the Premier League with Sarri. People expected that and more because he believes still the record for a goalkeeper. And then he had that awful season under Lampard, which of course we saw Chelsea buy Edouard Mendy, who had an amazing 18 months and won the Champions League. And he was like, a very peculiar case, Edouard Mendy, because he was amazing for 18 months, and that was kind of it. He won the Champions League, Super Cup, and Club World Cup with Chelsea, and then interestingly, he got benched for Kepa. People forget that. People do forget that he did get benched for Kepa, and Kepa came back in, and he obviously went to Saudi. So people will remember Mendy. I think he won AFCON as well. He had this amazing 18-month period in his career where he just won these super prestigious trophies, but then got benched by Kepa. So look, form of goalkeepers comes and goes. It's a confidence thing. And yeah, it's strikers and goalkeepers, and worse for goalkeepers, because if you have a crisis of confidence for strikers, you'll miss chances, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Goalkeepers, you let goals in, it's curtains, mate. Everyone is against you, basically. So obviously I have sympathy for goalkeepers that go through difficult moments. Not too much, because they get paid a lot of money and this is quite literally their job and their career, what they do. But when you are coming out giving it the big and winding people up, it is a little bit mental. Why are you doing that, mate? Just if you're like, for an example, Martinez, in goal for Emi Martinez in goal for Villa, he's a massive front house and gives it the big one, but he kind of carries it well and basically comes up with the goods. Do you know what I mean? And that's part of his thing, But Onana's got that with the poor performances and nothing really to back it. And when he does the penalties, showing them where to, all that kind of stuff. If you're Champions League winner, doing really well, making loads of saves, be a big personality like that. But it would seem he just needs to focus on his game to the point now where there's sort of internal civil war at Manchester United with their own players, get him out. And of course, Bayindir, again, apologies if I'm not pronouncing his name right, he's looked pretty good when he's played. So he gets another shot, and we'll see what happens there. And Nana, I guess, needs to stay humble, as the Vogue expression goes. Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Do keep it locked. Multiple uploads a day here on the channel for all the biggest footballing stories. So you're all welcome. Like and subscribe. Peace.